comic moments that rocked me to my core. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you guys love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy, and you've been watching for a while and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, yeah, guys, go ahead. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit it so you don't miss any content from me. Yeah, guys, so this little video for today is about comic moments that are very emotional towards you, maybe that you've remembered your entire life, something that, again, like I said, rocked you to your core, made you cry, right? We always have those epic stories that we'll always remember, right? But is there one particular moment or time in a comic book where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, right? There's quite a few for me, and I'm based off of this little list here. I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff, but there's certain issues that have been standouts where I'll never ever forget when I got done reading it, right? And just to let you know, there are going to be spoilers here, so if you haven't read any of these stories, then you might want to stay away from this video, but a lot of the stuff here has been out for quite a long time, okay? So let's go ahead, let's get started here. So first things first, like we all remember, like, you know, for older readers, you know, Bane broke Batman's back, like we got memories like that, the death of Superman, like a lot of us read that stuff, and probably a lot of us read the stuff that I'm going to talk about too. But here's something that was just like, that really like impacted me, okay? So the first thing here is from The Walking Dead. Now, recently I told you guys my story when it came to The Walking Dead, how that was the first independent comic book I read when I was older that led me to read more independent comic books and realized how important the independent medium is and how great it is, right? And when it came to The Walking Dead, it was all about Robert Kirkman on how he developed those characters, and you'll feel attached to those characters, and then all of a sudden they're swept from under your feet, right? And he didn't do it in a way to shock value you, right? It's just at times you didn't expect it to happen, okay? And that's why I'm excited about him when it comes to him joining Transformers, because I have a feeling that he really developed not only the Transformers characters but the human elements as well. So going back to The Walking Dead, okay, we have number one, Lori and Judith's deaths, excuse me. It was in issue 48, okay? We wind up getting to see our characters living in a prison at the time, and then all of a sudden, the governor comes around, he assaults the prison, and it hits Lori, and Lori is holding the baby, protecting it, and not only does Lori die, but Judith dies as well. She falls on top of the baby, and the baby is dead. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like, where is this book going? Like, it gets darker and darker, and you cannot believe it, because obviously that is his wife, that is his newborn baby, and it hits you like an absolute brick. Like, the Walking Dead series was known for how brutal it was, how the realism of it, and it just delivered on all elements, right? So I was like, oh God, that's horrible. But that was only 48 issues in. Now we'll talk about issue 100, right? So at this time, you know, you're well cemented into the series, and when it comes to issue 100, this was Glenn's death. And this is where you get introduced to Negan, right? And Negan comes around with the Saviors. He's got his freaking baseball bat, and his baseball bat is named Lucille, and she needs to eat, or she's hungry or something like that. And he's sitting there going in a line. He's sitting there going, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And the suspension, the tension that this comic book builds, you're like, oh my God, what is he going to do? And he picks Glenn. And you know the relationship that Glenn and Maggie had in this book, right? And the next thing you wind up seeing is freaking Negan takes that baseball bat that's wrapped around with barbed wire and just goes boom, and just smashes his head. And first thing he says while he's still alive one last time is he manages to scream out Maggie. And it's just like, oh my God. And Negan sits there and goes, look at this guy. He's taking it like a champ. He's like, his eyeballs popping out of his head. I mean, it's so brutal. And then when he keeps smashing and smashing and smashing, you're like, oh my gosh. And I literally cried in that issue. I mean, absolutely cried, because Glenn was such an innocent character, and the relationship that he had with Maggie was beautiful, and I died there. Here's another moment. Now, there's tons of Amazing Spider-Man moments. Some older readers would say like the death of Gwen Stacy is one of those moments, but obviously when I was younger, I didn't like appreciate those certain deaths or those issues. Now I'm an adult and I go through like real life experiences and have kids and animals and all that other stuff. It's like now certain things hit me harder, right? So when it comes to Amazing Spider-Man, issue 700 really hit me hard, okay? It was an accumulation of issues where Dr. Octopus was trying to way to survive. He was dying. He was basically lost his mind, getting punched in the face over and over. And what he did was basically swap minds with Peter Parker as they were falling from a building. And at the end of it all, Peter's body transfers into Doc Ock's body and they fall from the ground. And at that moment in time, the Peter Parker that you knew is dead. Like, dead, right? And you see Superior Spider-Man born from that. Doc Ock is in Peter Parker's body. And you're just like, oh my God, where are we going to go from there? And you did not know what was going to come out of it, right? Yes, you will see Peter Parker, but you have the personality of Dr. Octopus in that comic book going forward. And I remember, I'm like, this is the end of 50 years of Amazing Spider-Man. This is the end of 700. We're getting Superior. Like, it's done. In my eyes, it was all done, right? And so obviously it's comics, people come back, but it was a very emotional issue for me. Okay. The next book I'm going to give you an example for is The Amazing Spider-Man 800. So another 100 issues later, we get to the conclusion of Dan Slott's run here. And we got introduced to the Red Goblin at that time. And the one thing that really had good emotion in Dan Slott's run was the relationship between Peter Parker and Flash Thompson. Now, at this time, we find out that Flash Thompson sacrificed himself, as he was anti-Venom at the time, to save Peter against the Red Goblin. Okay, so he finds out that he's Spider-Man. And they have this moment. And what made the moment, I think, heartbreaking is that these guys were enemies at the beginning of Spider-Man's run, right? And now they became best of friends and allies, and he's sacrificing his life for Peter Parker and, his cast of characters. And at that time, Flash Thompson is dead. And you're just like, oh man. And he comes back later on too, but it's not for a while after the King in Black. So that was really tough. I mean, again, it's another Spidey issue where I've grown accustomed to and read my entire life. And Flash Thompson, of all characters, the bully, is the one that sacrifices himself. All right, let's talk about another independent comic book here. The next one is Saga. So Saga by Brian K. Vaughan was an amazing series when it's introduced. Now, ever since it's come back, it's not been quite the same. One, it's because of issues always getting delayed. It seems like it's always taking breaks, where when you got issues 1 through 54, they were continuously coming out on a regular basis, and the momentum was never destroyed. It was never killed. But what was really good about the comic book is that the book's perspective and narration was from Hazel, which was the daughter of the mom and dad. And the mom and dad are together because of this war. And you always get like these unexpected things that happen in the series. And the the great thing about this book is that, yes, it always was, pushing the envelope, or you never knew what to expect. But at the end of it was the death of Marco, which was the father. And you get to see how much of an anchor he was in the family. So when he died at the end, you're just like, oh my gosh. And you might as well just ended the series there, because the series took a 5-year break. And like I said, it came back, but it hasn't come back quite the same. It doesn't have the same impact, right? But seeing all the different things and that issue and that ending, and knowing that it was going to take a break, and you're kind of like, what the hell is going to happen? Wow, man, so super impactful. All right, so the next series is a series where it always hits me hard. And I have a soft spot for animals. I love animals, whether it's a lizard, a turtle, a dog, or a cat, right? I love dogs. I've had a dog my entire life. And Stray Dogs, the whole series as a whole, was very emotional. Every single issue there was super impactful. And Stray Dogs is the same creators as Feral that's currently going on. And when it comes to this book, it was like, 4 issues, 6 issue miniseries. When it comes about, when it's about these dogs, right? And these dogs wind up going to a foster home, and you wind up finding out that their master at this home was not a very good person. When the dogs are bad, they go to the bad place. And we learn about this one character, I think her name was, is it Sophie? I think it was. And she kind of remembers like what happened to her lady, which is the master, and just all the revelations and everything that goes through this comic book. It's heartbreaking. And seeing all these dogs like personal traits is just emotional as well, because when I see my dog and the dog can't talk, I always wonder what's going through the dog's head, right? And I really love that comic book. I just, even thinking about it almost makes me tear up. It's a great comic, and it's got great artwork. Reminds you of those, Disney cartoons of the day. And yeah, definitely awesome. The next thing we wind up having here is Geiger. So Geiger is a book that started off about this guy who was in like this, I don't know, it's like this nuclear war. He tries to protect his parent or his family in the shelter, and he protects them, and he winds up getting radiated. And then when he finally goes into the shelter, when people are trying to break in, he finds out that his family is dead. And ever since then, he's been trying to actually come up with a cure, okay? Now, along the way, he's come up with this, he's gone through this quest. He's come across a new family, and that's what gives this book actual heart. And that's what I really enjoyed about it, right? He's come across Barney, his two-headed dog. He's come across Nate the Nuclear Knight. He's come across this Ashley Darden character. And it's just all along the way, he's saved kids. He's gone through different towns. And we get to see he has this very hard exterior, but interior, he's still that family man that he once was. And I hate seeing this guy kind of get screwed over, especially currently what's going on in the series now. And I love how protective of he is with his dog Barney, and just, it's a really good comic book. And I feel like this comic book is a little bit under the radar, but it is really a family book in my eyes. And whenever you had Barney in this comic, like I said already for like a third time, there was one issue where he was getting electrocuted by this electrocutioner character, and we're not sure if Barney was gonna live or die, and you're just like, oh, please live, It's just a great comic book and a great series just as a whole altogether. So those are just some of the examples of some books that really hit me emotionally. I know there's plenty others that I've missed out there. So if there's something that you want to remind me of, let me know in the comments section below. Or more importantly, let me know what were those books that impacted you emotionally. Maybe changed your outlook on comics, made you want to read more comics, or related to certain instances in your life, right? That shows you how powerful this medium actually is, and I appreciate it for that. And that's kind of why I keep reading, man, because again, these things, when they're done right, they can have a really good emotional impact, and you remember these things forever. So there you guys have it. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Hopefully you're enjoying your Sunday. There's always more content right here for you to click on. And as always, guys, remember, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always read your comics so we can have great comic conversation just like we just did right now. Guys, enjoy your Sunday. I'll see you real soon. Bye.